My name is Jimmy Fazekas, and I own a gutter company in South Alabama. I've been doing this pretty much my whole life, since I was 13. I am from Alabama. I'm not married to my sister, so I want to get that out real quick. And most importantly, I'm not an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, so any of y'all football fans out there, I'm sorry if there's some Alabama people here, but I'm not a Crimson Tide fan. So we do love football in Alabama, but it's War Eagle for me. Got to get my notes going. Let me turn the page here, make sure I do it right. There we go. All right. See that guy up there at the top? That's Forrest Gump. So a lot of people say I sound like Forrest Gump. Probably do. But we're not from up there. We're from down South Alabama, down at the beach, the Gulf Coast, beautiful white sands, pretty water. That's where we live and work. So when Brent asked me to speak, I was scared to death. First thing I said was, no, I'm not speaking in front of a group of gutter people like me. I don't have the credentials. I don't have the knowledge. I'm not Tommy Mello or Howard Partridge or Corey J. I don't know. No, y'all aren't going to listen to me. And then I went back and thought about it, and I was like, that's being selfish, you know. Y'all all need to hear my story. Y'all have your own stories, and everybody's got a gutter journey they're going through. And as far as my stories, I've got a lot of failure in my stories I want to share with y'all this morning and what not to do, the mistakes I've made. So that's the reason I'm here. It's not for me up here talking, it's for y'all. So I read a book about 2 months ago. I studied a book. I'm trying to change my reading to studying. And it's called What's in It for Them. Have any one of y'all read that book? Anybody? Just you, Colin? A couple of y'all? So what that principle means is what's in it for them. You want to always, when you're talking either with your customers or your employees or even your family, your spouse, your kids, you're thinking, what's in it for them? What can I bring value to them? What can I do for them? So I started putting that into practice, and I have to walk backwards because they said I can't turn towards the speaker because it'll go, and that's something new I just learned, so I'm walking like a crab, I'm sorry. But I started putting that in practice, and man, what a mind shift, what a change. You know, it's like, if you think about what can I do to benefit the person I'm talking to, even your customers, your employees. So that's something that's very important. Joe Polish, I recommend y'all getting that book and reading it and studying it. It's definitely going to make a big difference in your life. I'm going to quickly say I'm sharing 30 plus years, a lot of mistakes and little victories, and then I'm going to finish up with 12 things at the end that I think is going to be very important to some of y'all, maybe one of y'all here, maybe I hope at least one of y'all here. It's going to be a golden nugget. You know, we have a great speakers for this whole conference and a lot of good information, and it's hard to go back on Monday morning when you're on fire, you're motivated, and you come back to your team of people and you're like, blah, 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 I learned all this, blah, 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 I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And then everybody's freaking out going, oh my gosh, another plan that this guy's got. And he's going to come here and then he's not going to implement. We were talking about that, implement. He's not going to do it. So my suggestion is grab one or maybe three things and really work hard and go back and get it. Whatever it is. And hopefully I'll have something today that y'all hear that, hey, let's do this. Let's get back at it. Let's get after it. So that action plan, if you don't do that, you pretty much wasted your money and time here. If you came here just to drink and party and not get anything from all these great people here in this conference, then you kind of wasted, a couple grand coming. So please, if you hear something, write it down at this conference. Get after it. What am I missing? This is my... And it took years to perfect this voice, you know, this forward voice I got going on here. So what about, who wants to go out of business? I've never had two mics on me, never spoke in front of anybody before. This is the first time speaking, and this is kind of weird. So who wants to go out of business? Raise your hand. Anybody? Nobody wants to go out of business. We're in the right room then. You know, I've been out of business. I actually want to talk about that. I've failed in business. I've lost everything in business, and I want to go over that, and I want to tell you what not to do so you don't go through that, because it was tough times. I didn't realize at the time I was getting to that position. So if I share a couple of things with y'all to let you know, hey, that sounds like something that's going on in my life. I don't want to get to that point, and maybe save some of y'all. 50%, I did a research the other day on the internet. This could be true or not, but 50% of businesses fail in the first 5 years. 50%. Can y'all name what industry? What industry do y'all think? Anybody got an industry?
Restaurants.
Nope. What'd you say? It's construction industry. Number one industry that fails. And guess what the main reason is?
Money management.
Money management, is that what you said? Yep, cash flow. That's the number one reason businesses fail. There's more reasons, but cash flow. So that's very important to know. Cash flow is super important for your business, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. A little bit about me real quick. I started when I was 13. I was born in Pennsylvania, and when I was 6 months old, we moved down here in that blue gutter truck on the top left. That's my dad and granddad, and that was a business back in the day. It's called B&B, which stands for Bob and Bob. That was real sophisticated. Good. I can't believe they figured that out. Bob and Bob. Seamless gutters, but it was cool. That's a little small box truck. I don't know. It looks to be about 10 foot long. I don't know how. But anyway, that's them up there. We moved down here. I rode between the seats of that truck my mom was driving. My dad was from New Jersey, and I was born in Pennsylvania. And I was in a little bassinet in between the seats. So I actually came down to Alabama in a gutter truck. That's pretty cool. But generational family business, learning at the age of 13. How many generational businesses are there around here? Is anybody in the family business? There's a couple. That's pretty cool. Family business, very important to you. If it's a family business, you want to make sure you continue and carry it on. And that was very important to me at the time. We had one of the first 5-inch seamless gutter machines in Alabama. It was called a Knutson. Is that how you say it? And Knutson? I don't know. I'm Southern, so I'm going to say Knutson. But anyway, in 1971, he bought it in New Jersey and brought it down to Alabama. So one of the first ones. And when I was in high school, between the summers, when I was young, I started hanging gutter. And then high school, I did that co-op program so I could get out of school at 11. I was going to go hang out with my friends, and my dad had another idea. He said, you're going to hang gutter. So we did a little bit of gutter. Not a whole lot, but we did a little bit of gutter from maybe 11 to 1. The decision that changed my life, when I was 20 years old, I was working with my father, and he came to me and he said, son, it's time for me to move to Gulf Shores, Alabama, where the pretty white beach is. I'm going to drink beer, hang out at the beach, and retire. You got 2 weeks to decide if you want this gutter business or not. At the time, I was into the stereos, the loud radios. I'm 48 years old, so in the 90s, the loud radios were in, the bass and all that cool stuff. So I actually said, I don't want to do gutters. It's too hot. The bugs, climbing ladders, it's construction. Nobody likes construction workers. I wanted to own a stereo shop. I had some sleepless nights. I thought about it. And I decided, this is my dad and granddad's business. I need to carry that business on. I need to do that business. So I made a choice, thankfully, the right choice, to continue the business and buy them out. And I did some financing with them. Took 4 years to pay off. But I'm so glad he taught me that. I'm so glad he gave me that opportunity. He didn't sell it to the guy that wanted to buy it for more money, and his son helped him. I'm glad he made the decision to ask me. But what's more important than me buying that business was I had something more important going on in my life. I had my daughter. She was about to be born. Megan. Where's Megan? Megan's in the back. That's my daughter. She's actually our marketing director as well. So y'all wave to Megan. Hey, Megan! 20 years old, about to run a business on my own, get married. Megan was on the way. That's scary for a 20-year-old. That's either you're going to grow up or you're going to fail miserably in life. So thankfully, I'm still here. She's still alive. I made sure she survived. But you know, when I bought my dad out, he was only doing maybe 110,000 a year in revenue back in 1996. I don't know what that correlates today. Maybe $500,000. I don't know. It wasn't a lot, but so I bought him out, and definitely that was a good time. I'm glad I did. But so this number right here is very important to me, and it's going to give me chills. This 2739.73. This is a day I'll never forget. I was at a buddy of mine's house back in 1997, I think it was. He was a painter friend of mine. Did a little bit of commercial painting, some house painting, and he had that on his wall. He was in a trailer in a low-income area. We lived in Northeast Alabama. There was not a lot of money going on up there. Long story short, he had it on his wall, and I said, "What is this on your little corkboard there?" And he goes, "That's how much money I need to have a day in revenue to make it to $1 million in a year." And I looked at him, and I'm like, "You're crazy. You're not going to make it to $1 million a year in revenue. You live in a trailer. You're in Alabama, and there's not enough business. There's no way you're going to do that." You know, believe it or not, that guy worked so hard. That year, he did that and more. And that's when I realized, man, he's got something going on. So from then on, I remembered this vision board that he called it. Maybe he didn't call it a vision board back then, but he said, write it down, keep it close. So that's one of my first lessons I learned in life and business is get yourself a vision board. It's very important. If you don't have one now, I highly recommend it. The vision board does work. Everything I've ever wrote on my vision board in the last 10 years has happened. I promise you, everything. It gives me chills right now. If I put something on my vision board, a picture or a thought, and look at it every day and think about it and how I'm going to get there and have a plan and action for it, it's going to happen. So if you're not doing that right now, I highly recommend that y'all get to that point. Get you a vision board. Very important, very important. So from 97 to 03, I'm going to speed a little bit because I want to make sure I get the good nuggets at the end for y'all. We 15 times the revenue. I had a lot of business, no direction, no profits. I thought I was doing something good. I thought I was supposed to work from daylight to dark and even then longer, 7 days a week. I thought that was the American dream, you know. And then I was like, well, since I'm working and I got this business and I'm cool, I need to get this house. I need to buy this. I built this house in this nicest neighborhood in our county. I need to be up here. I need to have these new cars. I need to do all this because I deserve it. I'm working hard. I deserve it. So my family, my wife at the time, we decided we're going to build a dream home. So I worked from daylight, 5:30 in the morning till about 5 at the gutters, and then I did from 6 at night till 2 in the morning. I built the house for 6 months, 37 square foot house. It was nice, had everything, had the pool, lagoon pool in the back, separate pool house. I thought I was on top of the world. You know, I had people talking about me. My neighbors were like, how's this gutter guy in our neighborhood? How's he affording this house? Well, I was affording it because I built it myself. I saved money, you know. But I was really trying to keep up with the Joneses at the end of the day, you know. I didn't realize at the time I was digging myself a big hole, going in debt, and really trying to make sure, hey, I'm a gutter guy, I'm a business owner, I got it made. I can do whatever I want. I'm gonna buy this house, buy this car, and not really working on what I needed to. So in 03, I started getting more and more stressed. I had this house payment, 3 children in 04, and I was like, I gotta find a way to get better in business. I gotta figure out how to start making money. So I went to a conference down here in Orlando, met a cool guy named Tony Cobb. He actually spent some time with me. He called me Alabama. He didn't know my name. He goes, Alabama, you're going with us. We went to dinner with about 20 guys, learned so much from him, started bugging him. I was like, this guy's cool. He knows the gutter business. I need to know what he knows. I want to be like him one day. I want to have this business. I want to be able to run without being there like he had it going on. So he actually became kind of friends. He came down and taught our guys some different techniques about the gutter guard he was selling at the time. And I really treasured that friendship, and that really, him and a guy named Bill Frazier, I actually went to his place in Austin in 04, I think it was, maybe it was 05, and I did a shop tour. How many of y'all have done shop tours before? Raise your hand, I want to see this. Shop tours. telling you, the most valuable thing you can do. Costs money, takes your time. Highly recommend it. I'm telling you what, going to see Bill Frazier and their operations back in that day kept me on point to help me grow even more. Plus, the fact is, I sped up my time on learning stuff, because in Alabama, we didn't have the internet that was strong back then, and we didn't have a lot of people that knew how to run a business in Alabama. It's just one of those things. Bigger cities knew how to do things a lot more than we did. So if anything you can get, make sure you get a shop tour. Start doing shop tours. I know I'm going to try to go see Justin. Me and him has been talking about trying to get together and go see each other's place and learn. Corey, I've been to Corey's place, amazing place. He's been down to mine. Ben's been down to mine. I've been to Ben's. And so they came down and they shared a lot of good ideas that we implemented. Last summer they came down. I would like to tell y'all the whole story, but you can see me after on that. Ask them about the Florida Bama, though. That's supposed to be a big bar that most of y'all should know about. But get the shop tours going. Very valuable to yourself, because your network is your net worth. So the more you mingle with people that you want to be like and learn systems and processes. I told Corey, I said, I don't have much to offer you. You're way up here, Corey. Yeah, and I'm down here. I said, I want to bring value to you. What can I do? What can I do? So he's still working on something that I can bring value to him for. But anyway, him and Ben and a lot of the people in here a lot of my success has to do with these guys right here, this conference, meeting these people. So, I guess I jumped ahead. Even Bren there, I got him at the top. I don't have a picture with Bren, but I got him up there on the Zoom. Y'all know the Zooms that Bren does all the time. He's always Zooms. So I said, Megan, snap a picture of Bren on the Zoom and let's get him on the camera. So, and then of course everybody knows Tony, and then we got Drew and Tim and Frank down at the bottom, and Justin and Howard, and everybody knows Tommy Mello. Who doesn't know Tommy Mello? And then my buddy's on the top right up there. So I just want to share that. This conference has been so amazing for relationships. There's a lot of knowledge going on when speakers are up talking and all that, but the biggest thing is what you get out of getting together, the after hours, the speaking, out in the hallway or sitting at the table together. That's what this is about. Sorry about the vendors are important too, but being in a relationship with all these people and networking is just wonderful. All right, let's go to this crash of 08. Y'all remember that? Everybody remembers the fun times of 08? I was doing killer revenue, 07, and got time? Anybody got time? 15 minutes, okay. So, hey, I like David better. David sounds better. There you go. I tried to get your watch, but you can come shake my hand. I was going to get it, show everybody. So, in 07, I was doing mainly 70% new construction on top of the world. Had the crews, everything going well. This is one other lesson I learned for y'all. Never let one customer get more than 20% of your business. Because what's going to happen is, if that does happen and they go out of business, or they decide not to pay, or they decide to change to somebody else, and you're counting all your eggs in one basket, you're going to be screwed. So make sure you really think about that. If you got a company and you got one customer and you're doing all this work for, and then if it shuts down, what are you going to do? That's what happened to me. In 07, when the market crash hit, I was leveraged in a new construction, hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I got to do something. I can't pay my people. I had 16 plus employees. I had to lay off. I actually let go of people that I've had for years with families. I had to say, look, I don't have the money. I can't pay you. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't pay you. So you're just going to go have to find something else to do. And they couldn't find anything at that time. There was not a lot going on in North Alabama. So what happened was I tried to do the home modification programs. I tried to do home equity line to help keep the company going with cash flow and all that. Couldn't save it. I told myself, I got to do something. I got to get another career. Nobody's going to be in construction anymore. It's the end of times. There's never going to be the construction boom. We're going to be devastated forever. So as a kid growing up, I loved Miami Vice. So I was like, man, I want to be Crockett and Tubbs. I want to be a detective. So at the old age of 34 years old, I had to change careers. I lost my dad's business. I foreclosed on the house. I got divorced. Some of the worst times ever, going through all that, thinking that I was successful and then I was a failure. You know what I mean? So I got in law enforcement. The hardest thing before that was, when you grow up and you got your kids all in one house and everything's good, you got your family, and then all of a sudden it changes like that, and then you don't have your young kids with you, and they don't grow up in the same house, and sometimes it's split custody, and sometimes it's this and that, which they can survive. Kids are strong, but that was the hardest thing for me. I can lose the house, the money, everything, the pool, the neighborhood, who cares? But when you got your family and they're not with you every day, because I'm a big family man, that was tough. So that's something that I never want to go through again. I told myself, no more. I'm going to make sure that I figure out the business and I don't do that again. So I got in law enforcement, and I'm not really following this. I'm just talking, so sorry if I'm jumping around. And I thought it was going to be cool. $12.25 an hour. I was making a killing. After I paid child support and after I had the taxes come out, I brought home $287 a week. $287 a week. And thankfully, my sister she mortgaged a house for me to rent that I could eventually turn in my name. So $287 a week, that was terrible. I had to work second jobs, security, blah, blah, blah. So it was terrible. I was tired of being broke. I did investigations the last 2.5 years. I was a law enforcement officer. I got into investigations. That was my dream. I thought I wanted to do that. Didn't even get a pay raise. I just got put on call. I had to deal with the suicides, the overdoses, the other. Megan says I got to be careful what I say because it might kick it off on YouTube. So anyway, the bad people. I had to deal with the bad people is what I can say. Realized that wasn't for me. I was tired of being broke. I knew gutter. I grew up doing gutter. I love gutter. I love talking about gutter. So I was like, I got to get back in the gutter. So I actually had a business in South Alabama that me and my dad started after he moved to Gulf Shores called, I don't want to say the name of the company, but anyway, we sold it in 2002. I called the guy up and I said, hey, I want to come be your GM. So I came back down to South Alabama where I know the economy was stronger than North Alabama, and I helped get that going. And for 2 years, we doubled revenue and profits and added some new products. I was on top of the world again. I was so excited. Everything was going great. And then my plans and the owner's plans at the time didn't mix together. We had different views, different things happened. So I just left abruptly. I was like, look, I can't do this. I'm out. We got different views. So for a couple nights, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was thinking to myself, the only thing I know to do is gutter. Gutter is all I know. That's what I love. That's all I know. So in 2017, we started Bluewater Exteriors. 41 years old. I wasn't 20, so it was a lot different starting a company at 41 than 20. One plus is I had more of my head on my shoulders, I think, but my energy level wasn't there like I was when I was 20. When you're in your 20s, you want to work all day and night, no problems. But started at 41. I figured my main goal was to get the best people I could, to hire the best people I could. Tommy Mello says only hire A players. And y'all know what A players are. If you've got a company, you know what those A players are. And at the time, I might have known what A players were. I just knew they were good employees. They're hard to find. You know what I mean? A players are hard to find. But I knew one guy that worked for me at the other company, and I wanted him. So I met him at the Waffle House. People in Alabama know what the Waffle House is. Corey knows what some of y'all up north might know what the Waffle House is. But it's pretty good. So we met there, and he wanted $18 an hour, this guy, this first employee I was trying to get, $18 an hour. I'm like, there's no way I can pay you $18 an hour. I don't even hardly make that. It's a new company, but I went home that night. I said, I got to make that happen. I got to sacrifice my income to make sure this guy makes his money and I get him on board, because I know if I get him on board, we're going to do good. So anyway, now Dan, our operations manager, he's been with me 6 years, and he's still making $18 an hour. Nah, I'm kidding. No, he's amazing. Some of y'all have met him. He's top notch. He's a large part of the Bluewater success. I'm so thankful to have him on board. A player, 100% at the top of the A player status. So anyway, let's move on. Y'all remember the COVID era back in March of 2020 to 23 when leads were just flowing everywhere. We had leads going everywhere. I was turning so much work down in that time. I actually thought I was a genius. I was like, man, I'm so good at business. I was getting a little cocky. I'm like, hey, if I can open any business. I can open a heating and cooling business. I can open a plumbing business. I'm just good. I know what I'm doing. It had nothing to do with me. Now that I know, it had to do with everything with COVID, because everybody wanted to spend money in the home improvement industry when COVID was going on. Everybody was at home, so they wanted gutters. They wanted screen enclosures, windows, stuff like that. But while all that was going on, our numbers were skyrocketing. We were successful. I realized I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to be broke. As far as years ago, I didn't want to be $12.25 an hour. I said, I want to have different locations. I want to do something. I want to have Bluewater everywhere, is what I thought. So back and forth, I decided didn't want to branch out because I was worried the managers would work 6 months and then quit, and then I have to go travel. So I got into the process of the franchise in Bluewater Exteriors. So we're working on that now. For time, I'm not going to go into that, but if y'all want to talk about that later, you can with me. I'll be glad to. Most important, everything happens for a reason. So in 2022, in October, I married my best friend. So me and her dated a couple years before we got married just to make sure she could cook and clean. So, but she can cook and clean. No, I'm kidding. She can cook and clean. No, it's wonderful. Believe it or not, we're a little bit age difference, but we're born in the same state within 15 minutes apart, but over 10 years different. It's kind of weird. That's odd. Pennsylvania. But so we've got 4 amazing children together. I have 3 daughters and 1 son. The son thinks he can take his dad. He's on the top left up there. He's about my height. He's just about to come live with me permanently, or not permanently, short term, not long term, but he's going to come be in our house with us. I'm so excited and so thankful. Man, that's what life's about, is the kids, family. And I got this at the bottom, the street curbs. That's just my notes. Y'all don't know what that means. But what that means is, when I met Erica, she said, what do you do for a living? And I just started Bluewater, wasn't making any money, investing it back. And I said, I put up gutters. She goes, gutters? She thought that was like on the street gutters. And she was like, how do you do concrete work on street gutters? So I thought that was funny. She still talks about that today. But I wouldn't change anything. Everything happens for a reason. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now, I want to get to the most important part, the little nuggets at the end, my life lessons. I know I'm getting low on time, but I got 12 of them I'm going to share real quick. Oh, man. Nice. Number 1, I know y'all don't want to hear this. You got to put your health above wealth. It's very important. I'm 48 years old. In my 20s and 30s, I cared a little bit about my health. I didn't pay attention to anything. I ate what I want, did what I want. I started drinking when I became a cop, of course. It's going to make you drink. But you got to put your health above your wealth, number 1. And a couple years ago, I had went to the doctor and I had melanoma, skin cancer on my back. I don't know what made me go to the doctor. I don't even like doctors. And I was like, I need to go to the doctor. So I went. Now for them, I can't even reach my back, but I've got a big scar. They took a big chunk out of my back. Saved my life though, thankfully. I've been in the sun my whole life doing gutter. And if I wouldn't have went, I probably wouldn't be here today. So to me, my mindset shifted and I said, hey, I really have to work on my health first. That's more important than this money. You can't carry that money with you anyway. You're not gonna fill your coffin up with $100 bills. That's not gonna work. So put your health above your wealth, and 100% everything else will flow better for you. Tommy Mello, he actually got me on the DEXA scan. or he told me about it, and I was like, what's a DEXA scan? So I started doing that, and I didn't realize I was 27% body fat. I'm like, that's just ridiculous. So I'm working on that now. I haven't accomplished much, but I'm trying. So really put your health above your wealth. Very important. I don't know why this guy's on here. That's got nothing to do with health, but Megan does do a good job. You know, some people's already talked about a lot of what I'm going to talk about, but your business is just an avenue for you to make money. It doesn't define who you are, you know. We could be doing life insurance. You could be selling whatever. You know, gutter business. It doesn't really mean that, you know, that's just who you are. Even though you're in this room and we're talking about gutter and whatnot, you know, one thing that I've learned, business is not for everyone. There's not everyone, I mean, I don't know how many business owners are in this room, but business is not for everyone. And I hate to say that. I'm not trying to rain on somebody's parade. So if you're in business, and if you're a business owner right now and you're having a tough time and you can't get it figured out and you're always depressed and your personal life's not going good and you're stressed out and your family knows you're stressed, you might need to change careers. Might need to do something else. Might need to work for somebody and be a sales guy at that company since you have the knowledge. Might need to just change it up. Don't let that just because you think you have to be a business owner that's what life's about. It's not about that. You got to figure out if that's what you want to do. You know, most business owners' DNAs are kind of screwed up. We're crazy. If we're a true business owner, we're crazy. So make sure you really investigate that further. And if you're having trouble, you might not be in the right spot. Have the end game figured out. You know, when you start a business or when you're going through a business, don't just be going there just to go. Have the end game figured out. If you put that future up there and say, hey, in 10 years, I want to sell this business to my kids, to my employees, to a PE company, or do I want to keep it and just run it like a job? You know, do I want to just have a job or do I want to have a business asset? You know, you got to really figure that out. I've actually been working on that pretty hardcore lately, and I think if you got that in mind, you know which direction you're going, because you got to figure out if you're going to grow that business to sell it, you got to make sure it runs properly without you. So you want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row, have your people in place, the right people in place, your processes and your procedures. So really, that's something, if you haven't even thought about that, you probably need to work on that. That's going to help you out. That's going to make you less stressed to know that. Become a great leader. Nobody's born a leader. I'm so far from being a great leader. I'm learning every day. I read John Maxwell books. I'm just trying to take as much classes and stuff I can as being a good leader. You know, when you're in a business owner position, you have to become a great leader. If you don't, you're probably not going to succeed in business. Business leadership is hard, and it's a lot harder than installing. I'd rather be an installer most days, just going up the ladder, putting up gutter and being done. But be a leader. Learn how to delegate to the right people, the right places. I'm going to move kind of fast, just make sure we have enough time. Know your numbers, very important. You got to know your numbers. We've talked about that. Some people's talked about that in the speaking already. Know your numbers. If you don't know how to read a balance sheet, a P&L, or a cash flow statement, I go home right now and learn it. I think that's going to be very important. If you think you're going to depend on somebody else, if you're a small company doing under $2 million, you better change your mindset. You better figure it out, because that bank account, your capital in that bank account can go like that fast. So really know your numbers, even know your booking rate. I think Tina was talking about the booking rate the other day. Know your booking rate. Know how many leads you acquire, you know, from that booking rate. Know how many jobs you close. And that way you know how to expend your money out to say, hey, I want to grow to this amount, and you know it. If you don't have the average job, your booking rate, your close rate, it'll get you. So know those. KPIs are so important. Believe it or not, the last 3 years I've been working on the KPIs. I didn't really know what a KPI was 3 years ago. Somebody said, what's your KPIs? And I'm like, I don't know, what's that mean? I didn't know. KPIs, if you don't do them, do them. Put your employees above your customers. Tommy Mello said that. Somebody was asking about the interview with Grant Cardone. I think that was you. And that's one big thing he said, and I recorded it 3 minutes long. Put your employees above your customers. So what that means is, what he's trying to say is, if you pay your employees crap pay, if you don't have benefits, if you don't do things for your employees, and you discount your customers, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get this customer. I'll give you 10% off, I'll give you 20% off, or you're a Chuck in a truck or a Dan in a van and don't have that. What's gonna happen is your employees aren't gonna stick around. You're gonna get C and D players. You're not gonna get A and B players. Put your employees above your customers and all else will work out better. Not saying the customers aren't important, but when you got happy employees, your customers, your reviews. I mean, last 3 years, we got about 440 reviews already. In the last 3 years, we've been really hammering away. Our employees really do a good job with that. Number 7, be adaptable. I've seen a lot of stuff in the last 30 plus years in business, in and out of business, and losing my business. Be adaptable. You got to change. If you're that old person that says, hey, I'm doing what I've always done, I don't care. If you don't know how to change, it's going to get you. If you got that mindset of, I know everything, I'm going to keep doing it this way, you're going to have problems. You probably end up out of business. So please learn to be adaptable. Reinvesting in your company is a must. Most of y'all, I feel like you do it. I think Scott was just talking about that. Reinvesting in your company. Don't fall in that money trap. You know, a lot of small business owners, if you're real small and you don't run your company and you don't have a CFO or a good CPA and you got 30 grand in the bank, 50 grand in the bank, and you're like, oh, I'm rich now. I've been working hard for 2 years. I'm gonna go buy that bass boat. Y'all might not say bass boat in North. You might say something else. Get the snowmobile, okay? Or fancy car, or I'm gonna buy that land so I can go deer hunting. You know, you might wanna work on getting a salary, set yourself up for a salary, and don't rob Peter to pay Paul. Don't take all that money out of that account. That money in that business account doesn't necessarily belong to you. You got to pay taxes, you got to pay salaries, you got to pay insurance and all that stuff. So make sure you don't fall in that money trap and taking that money just because it's in the bank. That's a lesson that I learned the hard way by going out of business. Get yourself a salary. Advertising, marketing, we've been talking about that. That's a hot topic. To grow, you got to know your numbers. You got to know where to put the money. You can't just be advertising and do a shotgun approach. You got to be able to say, hey, we got a marketing calendar. We're going to spend this amount of money here. We're going to grow it this way. We want to get quality leads. You don't want to just get leads. Bad leads will put you out of business just as bad as not having leads. You want quality leads. So if you're in a growth mindset, you probably want to stay in between 6 and 15% of your total revenue on marketing dollars. If you're at 3% on total revenue for marketing dollars, you're probably going to have a tough time in 24 because 24 is going to be a lot different in the past with the leads. So you better work on trying to figure out how to get that up there. Learn to have fun at work. Look at Megan making some money up there. We do cornhole tournaments. You probably don't know what that is. That's where you throw a little bag to the hole. So I'm kidding. But we do that, $100 tournaments. We do that at work. We do breakfast. We have different people cook. I haven't cooked because I'm no good at cooking. But we do stuff like that. We try to have fun. We have Christmas parties. This year, one of my main focuses on the business was to make sure the employees are having fun, to help get that culture up there. You know, that culture runs your business, and you don't realize that at the end of the day. But if you don't have that proper culture, then you're going to have problems because your employees aren't going to be happy and they're not going to spread that love to the customers. So make sure you have fun at work. Very important. I try to go in there smiling. Even when I'm having a terrible day and I just heard a truck broke and it's going to cost me $7,000 for a new turbo yesterday that happened, go in there smiling. When that front office lady sees you, you're smiling. You got to, man. You got to fake it sometimes because those people, when they see you down, they're going to be down as well. They're going to follow what the leader does. So really work on having fun at work. Mindset, huge mindset. If you got that scarcity mindset that, hey, the interest rates are going up, everything's getting bad, nobody's spending money, and you cut the marketing dollars back, and then you cut, I'm going to get rid of these employees, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. If you have that mindset, it's going to put you in the hole, and you're just going to keep going backwards. You're going to play defense instead of offense. You want to play offense in business the right way. You don't want to spend the money in the wrong places, but play offense. Mindset's one of the best things that we have if we know how to use it. See, I play basketball in the mornings, and the first thing I do when I get done playing basketball is I'll shoot long 3-point shots. I will not leave that court until I hit that long 3-point shot. If it takes me 25 shots, I'm there. I'm going to do it. I don't jump on basketball. I'm getting old now, but I will shoot some basketball. But until I win, I have to win before I walk off that court. Every day that I play, I have to win. Oh, wrap it up, Jimmy, wrap it up. Last one. Hey, perfect timing. Communication. One of the most important lessons I've learned is communication. It's very important. Probably I left that for last. Communication. If you don't communicate good to your employees, your people, your spouse, your family, you're not going to have anything. Communication is probably above all the other ones. So please work on your communication. Put it at the top of your list. Really work to communicate and let people know what you're thinking about them. Because if you got the good communication skills going, it makes life easier. It's actually really helped the business this last year when we started implementing better communication at Bluewater Exteriors. So anyway, I am done. I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you for listening. Now you've learned. Woo! Y'all are officially learned the Alabama slang class. Y'all are all in the slang class all together. So thank you. If anybody wants to get a hold of me, wants to call me directly, that's my cell. I love to talk and share anything I have, all my failures. I love to share with y'all. I'm not trying to depress y'all. I want y'all all to succeed. So let's have a great 24 together. Thank you.